Hello, this is a Goodly Christian Witch. I would like to take a moment to share with you my first Book of Shadows, and it was the very first time I tried to keep any kind of record of my magical workings, my magical understanding, and my also my tarot card reading. I was in about 3 Wiccan groups prior to 1995, starting in 1990, and this book I started in 1991. I did attain the third degree in some of these groups of being a Wiccan. Wicca means female witch, Wicca means male witch, so it's becoming a witch. Also, I did become high priestess in another group, and then there was another group where we shared being high priestess. Everybody would take a turn each week, and we met weekly, and we would take turns being high priest or high priestess, and that person would be responsible for creating the ritual and bringing the cakes and ale, and also bringing anything that had to be done during the ritual, instructing people, taking all the responsibility for the ritual. And we would pass around a garter, and it was a black garter, and we would give that black garter to the person who was going to be the leader, the high priest or high priestess next. Yeah? So, I just brought out some of my ritual things that I did join one of the satellite groups of the Golden Dawn, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, in 1995, and I'd also had, when I had a magic shop, the Emerald Tablet, I sold various statues, Egyptian statues, and also I sold ritual tools like ritual daggers, athames, and bowlines, and books. Again, so several things, chalices, those kind of things that people would need for ritual. I also sold magic mirrors, the black mirrors, various things like that, tarot cards, and I read cards for people, and I did psychic readings, those kinds of things. So anyway, I haven't really looked at this book for a very long time, so it's going to be like taking a little time travel, little time machine, I guess is what these books are. But this is my first Book of Shadows. I'd like to show you this dagger here before I start. This dagger is a very nice, it has Egyptian hieroglyphs on it here, and it's a ritual dagger. As you see here, see I got some fire, it's singed a little here because I used to use it to maybe if we had like some kind of a piece of paper with a magical spell on it, we would put it in there and we would burn it. I would burn it with this, using this. There's a scarab here. There's Isis, and it's funny though. She's standing in the Osiris risen position, even though it looks like Isis. It could be Hathor, I suppose, but she's standing in the Isis risen, or the Osiris risen position. But anyway, so I'm going to now look at my first Book of Shadows. It had a unicorn on it, silver unicorn on a dark blue book, and I'm going to read some of the things here, just a little bit of my personal notes, and then I'd like to share, first of all, I'd like to share with you my notes that I thought was very important. When I first learned magic, I wrote down about a battery, and how a battery works, and how magic works just like a battery. I drew this, it's my little schematics, and I wanted to understand how magic works, and understand how male-female polarity, sun, moon, day, night, dark, light, good, evil, all of these polarities, how they work, how the dualities work. And so I, like a crystal, we used to have a crystal facing up and a crystal facing down. On the altar, it would be facing, one way, and the other one would be facing the other, north, south, or east and west. And positive and negative charges. So I'd like to get into that mostly is what this is going to be about. But I'd like to just sort of get into it by just going over, reintroduce myself to myself in 1991, now that it's 2019. So this is October 9th, 1991. And I was writing here in sort of a lavender purple pen. And I had I was drawing some writings. I was learning how to spell Yud-He Vav-He, or the Tetragrammaton, Yahweh in Hebrew. I was learning to write Hebrew a little bit. This was before I joined the Golden Dawn. This was when I was in a Wiccan coven. We still learn those kinds of things. And we were learning the beginnings of alchemy back then with the sulfur, mercury, and salt. So I'll just read a little bit of that for you. And again, to reintroduce myself to myself. October 9th, 1991. Book of Magick, purchased from Sirius Books. Larry was at Sirius. Didn't see Fuzzy. Aside by me, Fuzzy was his cat. Larry owned a bookstore called Sirius Bookstore in Honolulu. Back to the book now. Larry always fun to see, very discerning, practical, and wise, but fun. Good sense of humor. He had a beautiful gold watch on from the 1940s. I saw Sherry at Star Market. Fire, and I have a Star of David. I have Yud-He Vav-He written in the direction of Hebrew. I have air, sulfur, salt, mercury, earth, and water, H2O. Also, book purchase due to introspection of tarot card reading brought up a lot of difficult stuff. That's okay though, because it's moving me forward. I lost my center, but seeing Larry and being at Sirius helped me to find my center again. Tarot information. The feminine came with the warrior, Aaron. The masculine, Michael the magician. And the fire, higher light being available, I don't know name yet. Fire. And it has a triangle with a circle around it pointing up. Fire, India. 7, feminine and luck. Extraterrestrials, stars. 17, and 17 added, it breaks down to being the number 8. 10, 9, 91, continuing. 8 equals money, time. 8, star, time travel. 3 sets of 8, infinity, sword power. 8, strength. 8 coins, 8 wands. Purify fire, salt, and hold water. And then it has a symbol for salt. Red, yellow, light, turning to blue and white light, confirmed by new moon ritual and tarot card reading. I must balance the feminine and masculine with fire. Candles, incense, coals, and sage. 10/1991 continued the Hierophant. Future Foundation, Egyptian Connection. Again, the triangle pointing up with a circle around it. And I tried to write down about my tarot reading for my ritual. Devil 15, that's the devil card. Number 15 became 16, the tower card. Tower 16 became 17, the star. 8 minus 7. No, I'm sorry, that was some other numerology I wrote in there. Anyway, I was doing some of my personal numerology, so I won't go too much into that. I wrote, because it's personal to me, Hermit, Merlin, again, the fire triangle pointing up with a circle around it. What do they have in common? Hermit and Merlin. The Hermit card and Merlin was a question I asked. How does this relate? How does the triangle relate to the circle? It has to do with things the rituals I was doing and the tarot cards I was reading. Now it says 10 on the next day, 10/10/1991. I started writing in black ink instead of writing mostly in purple or lavender ink. Took hydrogen for the 4th or 5th day. There's an aside by me. I was using, I believe they're called neurotropics. They help your brain become smarter. This was back in 1991. It was kind of a life extension fad, and it works. It helps to get the brain more oxygen, and I was taking it in order to become more intelligent. It's not a controlled substance, hydrogen. At least it wasn't at that time, but I don't think it's a controlled substance even now. So took hydrogen for the 4th or 5th day. I experienced paranoia, heightened sense of awareness, and symbolical thought process. Saw connections similar to Jungian and schizophrenic thought process. Because I'm a nurse, I became an RN back in 1979. I graduated as an RN, a registered nurse, and so I worked in psychiatric nursing and also in medical surgical nursing and several other facets of nursing. So that's what I was noticing about patients I had taken care of. Anyway, understood illusion of the material world, understood interconnectedness of all things. Food helped me to relax, difficulties and new awareness from hydrogen. The next day, October 11th, 1991, did not take hydrogen today. I had been taking 1/2 of a 4.5 milligram tablet every day for 2.25 milligrams. My meeting with the psychic, who brought up many items, some very distressing, was, I believe, brought on by hydrogen ingestion. I was feeling a need to connect with symbols, and I was feeling insecure. The cessation of hydrogen, none taken today, led to a more relaxed state. I became more comfortable and less insecure. I talked about I had a friend who had helped me. Again, it's a little bit personal. It said this was a comfortable step psychologically. It just said that he helped me, my friend helped me to relax. Blessed be. It was just somebody I went to talk to, that's all. And then on the 12th of October 1991, today I understand some very important aspects of practical magic. There are 2 main points, and this is where I want to get to. I wrote it on October 12th, 1991. My schematics and understanding of how magic is, and how the energies of male, female, and light, dark, good and evil, all this relate to a battery. And I also had bought some cards at Sirius Bookstore. I wanted to be a mermaid at the time. And then I was noticing here on November 19th, it's 1991. For some reason, I wrote 2191. That was November 19th of 1991 when I wrote this. But for some reason, I wrote 2191. And before I get to my schematic of the positive and negative poles on a battery, I would like to read just this one portion that I wrote. This, I think, it's called an entry. Yes, in November 19th, I wrote 2191, but again, it was 1991. Missed the meeting tonight at Gary and Stephanie's house. That was the first Wiccan group that I joined. They were our high priest and high priestess. It says went to 2 meetings Tuesday night. Went to 2 Tuesday night meetings so far. Very enjoyable. November 2nd, Saturday, was great. Met Lynn, Karen, Rosemary, Josh, Kurt, Philip, a chemist at the university who talked about Star Trek all night. I met Sandy, Gary and Stephanie, Latasha, Aaron, Logan. This was a fun night. We created a circle, ate, drank, talked. Karen and Rosemary have a great house. So Karen and Rosemary were 2 friends. My name is also Rosemary. So there was one of the witches there was named Lynn, and she had red hair, and she was one of my very best friends. I live in Hawaii, and a lot of those people were in the military, and they had to leave. So that's after they had all left in 1995. That's when I joined the Golden Dawn, because my whole coven had to leave because they were in the military, and I lived here. So that's how I ended up in the Golden Dawn. I also hear talk about hourly planetary calculations for doing magic hourly, but we're gonna get to this portion now about the battery, and then we'll end it after we talk about that a little bit. I'll have better lighting next time, but I just wanted to make this a little more magical. You know, with some of my tools and statues and crystals, you know, just make it a little more magical. Okay, again, this was on October 12, 1991. 1, negative black female cathode. So the feminine, the black, the negative. Positive white male anode. Maybe I'll do another one of these and have a better picture of this. Actually, I'll do that for you right now. I'll set this up better so you can see the diagram. Okay, here's the diagram. You see it a little bit better anyway. So we have the negative black female cathode pole, the negative pole. It would be black female cathode negative. It would be positive white male anode. Okay? And we have the negative side, we have atoms into solution. So atoms moving into solution. This is the negative side of the battery. I guess that's the cathode. And this is the positive side of the battery. I guess that's the anode. You have to excuse me if you're a person who's smart in being an electrician, or if you're smart at being in physics or engineering. I'm a registered nurse. I'm not real good at knowing everything about this kind of thing. My husband, Tim, he knows a lot about this kind of thing. But anyway, it says we have solution, positive, moving. We have on the negative side positive atoms moving towards the positive pole, and electrons, the negative, the electrons into solution moving towards the negative pole. At least that's what I drew. Positive, negative, and they're going towards, the negative one's going towards the negative side, positive one's going towards the positive side. It says electrons travel through wire, the negative to positive electrode. This is the opposite of the ion travel in solution. Has extra electrons, therefore a negative charge, and on the positive side has less electrons, therefore a positive charge. That's similar to blood gases in nursing and that kind of thing. Okay, now, they have metabolic alkalosis and acidosis and respiratory alkalosis and acidosis. They're similar in that way, I understand it. Anyway, electrolytic solution, electrolyte acid on the negative side, and then external wire connection. Then I have a crystal here pointing down and a crystal pointing up, the altar. I was trying to understand how to set the crystals and the stones on the altar so that the altar would have a charge to it. Energy enters on the left, exits on the right, altar or human body. So this was my understanding, and I used it a lot in the earlier days to understand. And I need to go back to that because sometimes we get so caught up in the minutia that we forget all about the very practical, fundamental things that we should be doing every day. And what my Golden Dawn friends would probably say to me is, are you doing your daily rituals, your lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, and all of those? At the moment, no. I have other rituals I do. And I did do them for a long time, even after I was an adept. But sometimes it's time to start up again. And I will be starting that up again because I've got some friends who want to take some magic classes with me and start a little circle again, who live here, who aren't in the military. Not that I don't have anything against the military. I love military people. I love meeting people from all over, especially Wiccans. But some people that live here, we're going to start a little circle, just a few of us. And since I have to start helping them again and doing Wiccan circles, it'd be good for me to do my lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, at least, in order to, just establish that. For me, it's become very important to also make sure that I protect myself above and below, not just the four corners, but also above and below, so that so that my complete sphere is protected. Okay, thank you. This is again taking a look at my first book of shadows. I have a whole bunch of other books that I have. Maybe we'll just go through those a little bit at a time, just for fun. Thank you for sharing these memories and this information, for allowing me to share it with you, and for for being here in spirit with me to share it. Blessed be. Merry part and merry meet again.